I was so fired up for the golf yesterday. I got up in the morning and played golf. Not well, but I played golf. I loved yesterday. You didn't
No, you didn't call me? You're like...
Well, I have a neighbor, and he wanted to play, and you live too far away. But the point being...
sorry, go ahead.
I was into golf. After they played, I had some stuff to do, or I would have gone hit golf balls. Like, I thought it was a great golf event. I was into it.
Well, that's the not so well-kept secret about golf. Golf makes you want to do what you see on TV, right? So, yeah, look, it was great for a Sunday, a Memorial Day weekend. It was awesome. I would only tell you that, boy, Tom Brady's got a lot of Derek Jeter in him, right? Where he's really good looking. He's really classy. He's probably good at everything. Keeps getting younger looking, too. I don't know what's that about, right? He's living. You've seen that story on the parallel universe that's the same as ours, only time runs backwards. Yeah. I think that's where Tom Brady comes from. But he's not interesting. Like, nothing. He just is. And part of it was he was having a rough day. And anybody who's played golf, Brazier, you've had a rough day, whatever. And I'm sure he's frustrated because, he's also getting ready for a season. These guys are not, or at least, Peyton's not. But I didn't find him to be nearly as gregarious naturally as Peyton is. Now, part of that is that's Peyton's personality. He is a guy's guy. Everybody loves being around him. But it felt a little forced yesterday. But it was good. It was better this time than when it was just Tiger and Phil. Granted, some of it is quarantine, but a lot of it is you added in Peyton Manning, who just brightened up the entire broadcast. Yeah, I mean, Jeter, Tiger, and Brady, I could argue, have kind of a stoic personality, whereas Peyton and Phil have a very similar personality, which is they are one-liners, light up a room. To your point, it is Jeter, Tiger, Brady are kind of stoic. It feels forced if they're trying to be funny because it's not their personality. So I saw a story, and I said this to start the show. When society starts changing and giving you a surplus of something like music, Amazon, Apple, you don't have to pay for albums and CDs. It's there. $7, buy it. I look at wide receivers, Doug, and I follow college football recruiting. The state of California this year has one elite high school running back. They've got 25 receivers, and this has been a trend for like 7 years. Doug, we used to have hockey enforcers. The game's too fast now. I don't think Antonio Brown is worth it. I don't think you need Antonio Brown. What say you? Well, I mean, first, we don't know if and when he'll be eligible to play, right? Like, he wanted to play with Tom Brady. That's not happening. Now, obviously, Seattle, somehow he's kind of latched on to Russell Wilson. He's not going to play immediately anyway. You can't have these sorts of accusations made against you by multiple women in 2020 and expect to not see any punishment from the commissioner. So I don't. And then what's the price? Do I want to pay him top wide receiver rate? No, but he's out of work and there's limited prospects, right? Like, once the Patriots get rid of you, the Steelers get rid of you, the Raiders get rid of you, like, how many different options are there out there for you? So I think he's an elite talent, Colin. I still think – I understand that the pipeline is going to be filled with talented wide receivers, wide receivers for days. But there's a reason that he was widely considered the best overall wide receiver in the league by many people. Julio Jones in the conversation, Nuke Hopkins also in the conversation. There are others. I still think he has a substantial amount of value. And for Russell Wilson, who hasn't had that type, I mean, Doug Baldwin, was his best wide receiver up until, obviously last year or whatever. So he hasn't had the top end guys. It would be great, but how many games can he actually play with the commissioner and what will we do? And what is the price? If it's a minimum salary and he has to sit a couple games, do it 10 times over. They were able to make the Frank Clark thing work for a couple years before they dealt Frank Clark to Kansas City. So I'm not against it. I'm just a realist in there's a lot of hoops that have to be gone through, and he has to keep his – remember, when he was in New England, Colin, it was every day there was a new Antonio Brown story. Are we done with the Antonio Brown stories because there's no more? Or are we done with the Antonio Brown stories because nobody cares because he's not in the league? I don't have the answer to that. So the NBA came out. It was I know Michelle Roberts represents some of the players, and her job is ending reportedly, and there's some skirmishes with her and Adam Silver. But I saw a story this weekend, and I'm like, oh, NBA. They're not going to start until late July. And there's like 7 proposals, and I just thought to myself,
The NFL pulled off a draft, a virtual draft, and had about 3 weeks to figure it out. And at the end, we were like, good Lord, that's clever. Are you surprised at the clunkiness of the NBA, which could start playoffs in a month? The way it sounds, Doug, they're going to go head-to-head with the NFL in the playoffs.
That's a bad idea, right? I mean, we've seen this from college sports. We've seen it from baseball. How many years have you and I been saying, as we love baseball, have your playoffs before the NFL season kicks off, right? Don't do it. Don't do it because you're not going to win, especially in terms of level of importance. This is the issue with it. I think Adam Silver is stronger behind the scenes than he likes to appear to be on camera, but just a lack of forceful nature. You got too many chefs in the kitchen. Like, let's go. I don't think they can start playoffs right away. They're going to play in Orlando. The question is, how many teams do they invite? Because the bottom 10 teams in the league don't want to play, and you don't really want them there. They're not going to make any money from being there. It's just volume. On the other hand, they could be very good fodder for the playoff teams to play against so that you get some – because you can't just go 0 to 100 and play playoff games and expect, one, nobody to get hurt, and two, the level of basketball to be good. But I'm with you. Like, let's go. You have a golden opportunity, and you're going to miss that window if you don't start playing basketball games quickly. Granted, people right now aren't going on vacations. Kids aren't going to summer camps because many of them have decided to close for the summer. But as things start to open up, people are going to start to get away from sports for a little bit. You have a sequestered audience. I'm very surprised. And you said something really interesting when you were talking about how golf should take some of what we saw from this weekend and use it for their everyday broadcast. I think the NBA should use a little bit of what we've seen in that, okay, maybe you can't have games till mid-July, but one, get everybody back and get them up and rolling, decide what you're going to do, make a decision. Somebody's not going to like it, fine, and let's go. Let's start rolling with it. And two, start to have some people be able to have cameras inside these facilities.
Yes.
And give us some content because people thought the Tiger King was the greatest documentary ever. If you go back and watch, you're like, wow, these are really, really screwed up people. I feel worse for having watched it, right? But it's the need for content.
Yeah.
Right? My numbers are up. That just means that people want content, even if it's not any good.
NASCAR had 6.5 million people. Goulet made a good point in our meeting this morning. He's like, I'm not sure there's 6.5 million diehard NASCAR fans. Generally, it may be 4.5, 5. But I'm a big believer. Laker practice, LeBron, AD, put a camera. Let's go.
Yes.
I'll watch.
Microphone. Let's go. And it doesn't have to be anything. You don't have to have a set. Like, we'll watch anything right now. And the more we watch things, the more we relate to people, and they become part of our everyday lives. 2 weeks is a habit. I'm with you. I don't understand. Look, the baseball thing is a little bit more complex because their CBA expires next year, and they're trying to not set a bad precedent.
Right.
Because the players already got destroyed last time in the CBA negotiation, and Tony Clark's fighting for his job. But the NBA CBA has agreed to, let's go. Let's go play some games. Most players I know want to be back in the facilities. They're already working out on their own anyway. Figure out a way to get it. I would try and get games the 4th of July weekend, if not the weekend after that. But late July and you start pushing it towards August and into September, that's a bad idea.
Good stuff. Doug Gottlieb, Fox Sports Radio after our show. Nice house there. Doug's done well for himself. Very nice. There you go.
Sorry about that.
All right.
Sorry about that. It's your wife's favorite kind of dog, by the way.
Oh, what's the dog's name?
Odell Beckham Jr.
All right. That's weird. Appreciate that, Doug. That was strange. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.